rabbis of yesteryear. Now, it's actually interesting. We're going to explore some of the highlights of famous rabbi's life. A very well-traveled rabbi. His name was Rabbi Moshe Edrei, or Rabbi Moshe Edrei. Zecher Tzadik Livracha. It's in parentheses, you could say he was the second of him. Maybe there was another great rabbi that was named, and he was named after. So he was continuing a rabbinic, let's say, dynasty in of its own right. I think he was about 68 years of age at the time the famous rabbi passed away. He was born in the, I think it was reported over around the time period of 1774 in Morocco, and he passed away in 1842. I think there's varying opinions. One place says they passed away in Jerusalem, another place says they passed away in London. Be it as it may, he was very, very well connected and very, very famous rabbi of his time. We'll just explore a few highlights within regards to the rabbi's life, because he was very much a famous rabbi, and I believe we mentioned him on various occasions before inside this series, as we've been now covered more than about 1,000 videos on this series at the moment. So it's a phenomenal achievement. And it's marked over here on the Hayami website, Chav Zayin Sivan, as his Hilula. Very interesting enough. I don't know if we actually know that that is a date of his Hilula, but the Hayami website will recognize this as a date, because I believe it was on 27th of Sivan, which was the day he completed his writing on the Maaseh Nisim, one of the colossal books of his. So that's when the Hayami websites will actually write that website. So, okay, so that's interesting enough. So let's explore a few of the highlights of the great rabbi's life. He'll go on to become a Darshan, a Metargem. He'll be a translator in various different languages, an educator. He'll be working in Morocco, London, Amsterdam, various other places. Now so it's actually interesting. He was born, he came from great rabbinic auspices. His father's name was Rabbi Yitzchak, and his mother's name was Rabbinit Miriam. He was born, as we said before, in the year, I believe, 1774 it was. Hey Taf Kuf Lamed Hey, in the city of Ajdir, I believe. This is more of the southern western part, I believe, of Morocco, if I'm not mistaken. And very interesting enough, the family was a famous family over there. While he was young, the family, I believe, along with other Jews of Algeria, would move to Essaouira, a place we've spoken about on various occasions before in the series. I think it's on the coast of Casablanca, respectively. He would receive early Torah education. And sadly, I think he was it's reported over, I believe his father passed away while he was at young age, maybe 9 years of age. His father passed away, and this obviously led to a lot of upsetness in life, and I think he would travel later on. He'd have the desire to travel to the city of Rabat over there. I think in Rabat had a great Torah Jewish community over there. There was many great sages, and it was considered more learned place from a Torah point of view than Essaouira at that point in time. He would live, I believe, with his uncle over there, his father's brother, Rabbi Masoud Edrei, over there, and his uncle would see to it that all his Torah needs and religious studies would be at a premium level over there. And after a period, he would study, I think, in Rabat for around 3 years. He would go in yeshiva, I think, if I'm not mistaken, of Rabbi Yehuda and Hori, another rabbi. I don't know if we mention him so much. And he would settle nearby in the area of Sali, which is a port city northwestern Morocco. And then later on, he would return to Essaouira. I think his mother was still living over there, and his brother. But there was a large amount of poverty, hunger in those places, and this would eventually lead him to leave Morocco. And I think he would go to various different communities, obviously spread Torah, teach Torah. He would eventually end up in London, and he would stay in London, and he would study in the Etz Chaim, I think, yeshiva. I think it was connected maybe to the Shara Shemaim Sephardic community over there. Remember, in London, I think there was a long Sephardic community at that point in time. There were Spanish-Portuguese chief rabbis already for nearly a good close to 100 years. He would get married to his wife over there in London. This would be while he was over there, while he was learning great Torah education. I think this was in the year Tav Kuf Nun Bet. That would be around the year, conflicting years, I believe maybe 1792 or something. I'm not too sure exactly. And he would print in London his book, the Torat Chaim, which was various different Torah teachings in of itself, and brilliant book, which I recommend everyone to look within regards to and the printing was becoming very popular at that point in time. And I think also with the sale of his book, it would provide his family in Morocco a source of income. Now he would continue his moves now to Amsterdam over there after several years. He would live in Amsterdam. Remember, Amsterdam had a great Sephardic community. I think he had a strong Ashkenazic community over there. He'd learn in Amsterdam in the Beit Midrash called Etz Chaim over there. And in Etz Chaim, he would study there. I believe, sadly, his wife passed away, if I'm not mistaken, and he would marry another local woman from Amsterdam. He would also work as a proofreader as part of his living over there. While Torah was at a premium level, he would proofread various great books of the great Moroccan rabbis, I think from Moroccan Jews, and especially from a great poet, a great Payatan, Rabbi David ben Hassan, a rabbi we've spoken about before, arguably seen as one of the greatest poets in Moroccan history. He was known for doing many, many great, let's say, Sephardic poetry and songs, respectively, including, I think, the Aruch Mahalel Nivi, Le David Shir Umizmor, V'ochil Yom Yom Eshta'a, and various other great songs. That life will progress over there. He would work over there as a language teacher and as translator. He would print several works over there, various different sermons within regards to ethics and morals. I think it would be in Spanish. He would give over various different grandiose sermons over there. He was part of the inauguration, I believe, of the Ezrat Cholim institutions over there. Ezrat Cholim, I think we've mentioned before on various occasions inside this series. He would... I think this was very interesting. It was a Beit Midrash over there specifically. There was the books of Yad Moshe, which was, I think, printed in Heitav Kuf Samach Tet. There was various other publicized, let's just say, Jewish books teaching Jewish education, anthologies from literature of Israel and the various nations of the world, stories. He was famous for all the stories about the 10 lost tribes. I think he actually really did investigate within regards to this topic, which was we'll speak about later on. Nahar HaSambation, the Sambation River. We're going to speak about this in a minute. I think the book had numerous editions in Hebrew, under the name Sherit Yisrael, also in German, in Judeo-Arabic, in Yiddish even. I think the Judeo-Arabic one was printed in Algiers in the 1844. Extensive editions of books were written in English within regards to it. And he would get various different praises from various different Talmud Chachamim, scholars, clergymen also. I think in English and Dutch and in French also. He would, on the occasion of the English publication, he would stay in London. I think this was interesting enough. He would also publish a famous map at that point in time. I think it was a map, Mekadesh Yecheskel, I believe it was known as. Remember, there was elaborate and extensive editions of his book, was published by his son Rabbi Yitzhak Adery, additions to chapters of the history of the Turks, respectively. Now, eventually, he would move to France, I think in the year Heitav Kuf Ayin Zayin. This would be around towards the latter part, or mid part to his life. It was about 1816, 1817. He would go to Paris over there. And very interesting enough, so he's very well travelled between, and his son Yitzhak, I believe, will marry one of the local French people over there. Then later on, he'd end up in Izmir. Remember, Izmir, Turkey, was a bastion of Torah learning and Torah center in its time, and he would. It was an ambition of his life in his youth, to emigrate, I think, later on to Jerusalem, but he would stop off in Turkey. And on the way to journey over there, he would be over there. He would stop off, I think, on the way to Marseille for a period of time. And I think he suffered from health problems at various different points. It's reported a fire would break out, I think, and some of his writings would get lost, and his sermons, commentaries on Torah and Talmud, halachic rulings, it's reported over. And eventually, I think he would have more printings. Now, I think he would eventually, in 1842, would end up in Jerusalem and publish his book. In Jerusalem, I think it was called the Azharot, to commentary maybe or teachings of Rabbi Shlomo ibn Gevurah, who was a great rabbi maybe 700-800 years before him. He eventually passed away, I believe, in the year 1842. I'm not too sure why he passed away. There's difference of opinions whether it was in he passed away, I believe, maybe in Jerusalem or maybe in London even. One opinion says over, which is very interesting enough. So very interesting. He was part of Moroccan Jewry, came from Agadir. He spent time in Rabat. I think he was in Meknes also while he was young, at around the age of 14. He was in London from 1791, part of the Sephardi Bet Midrash HaGadol Etz Chaim. He was in Amsterdam. He went to Israel, I think, via France, Italy, even Malta. He was in Turkey. and he was a firm believer in the existence somewhere in Western Asia of the 10 lost tribes, which he's very, very famous for talking about that. He was known for his, let's say, had a eccentric character of manner of speech. It's reported over. I think in June 89, they appeared in the Blackwell's magazine, one of Christopher North's, Noctesis Ambrosian, devoted in large measure to his information within regards about him. There's much within regards to the bibliography within regards to him. Now, he wrote great Torah books also, including the Torat Chaim, which was printed in London in 1792. The Yad Moshe was printed in 1809. Then the Maaseh Nisim was printed in 1818. Then there was the historical accounts of the 12 tribes was in the year 1836. And there was other works, I think, printed in 1855. And I think, interesting enough, in Boston, which is very, very interesting. So he was a great rabbi. He was 68. He was 68 years of age at the time he passed away. Everyone, don't forget to light candles in his memory. He was a great rabbi at the time. It's reported over Chav Zayin Sivan is his Hilula. And learn more about him. He was one of the great rabbis of his time. And there's great teachings on various different websites within regards to especially various different books of his that was published at different times. I think in 1802 you had guidance from Rabbi Daniel HaKohen Di Azividio, for example, and from various other great places also. So wishing you got a hectic house at the moment, very, very busy at the moment. So wishing you all a Shabbat Shalom on this thing, and take care.